Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. You know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. OnChain Revolution. Done this. Boom.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the OnChain Hour, and today's show is going to be amazing, guys, because last night we got a green weekly candle. Yes, it was the first one. Well, I guess we got two in a row now. But this week we did turn a little red, so we are a little under where we closed yesterday. But I think that's amazing because it definitely gives us the time to run up until Wednesday. What is Wednesday? Wednesday is when Jerome Powell cuts rates. There's rumor that are boiling that it could be a 0.5 cut, not just a 0.25 cut, but the markets are looking at a 0.25 cut guaranteed right at this point. So, but who knows what could happen in that meeting. Things are not looking great for the U.S. jobs market. It's actually getting worse and worse, people are saying. And we only have data from November. Maybe they have data that we don't see, or something like that. But a 0.5 cut would shock markets, and Jerome Powell doesn't do that. So I'm kind of thinking, who knows, right? Who knows? But I'm excited, though, that we are a little red here. I think we chop into Wednesday at 2:30. Trump is speaking today at 2 p.m., and there is rumors that it could be more tariff bull shit. So I don't know how to – it sucks, right? It sucks. Hopefully it's different than normal, but, you can't really always expect that. We got a lot of stuff to talk about as well. You got the Solana base bridge fully up and running, but no one's using it. What's going on with that? Totally kind of came out and basically said that, there's no reason to use it. There's no reason to use it. So we'll get into that a little later as well. We do have a lot of stuff happening. SEC Chairman Paul Atkins says basically the blockchain infrastructure is where everything's going. The SEC Chairman is coming out and telling everyone in the next 2 years everything will be on the blockchain. It's just cheaper. It's faster. It's just an upgrade to their system as it is, and that's the SEC Chairman. Michael Saylor said, "Don't count me out." Buys close to $1 billion of Bitcoin, 962 million. And then, you have BitMine coming out and saying, "Hey, we're buying as well." They have jumped up to about $14 billion worth of Ethereum, says BitMine. So that's really interesting. BlackRock submitted their filing for an ETH ETF, which is awesome. Then they actually sent 44,000 ETH to Coinbase Prime. Rumor was they're going to sell them, but I actually think that is what they're preparing to use for that ETF, because remember, it is a staking ETF, and I think they'll be using Coinbase for the staking stuff. Coinbase has been their custodian for a while, and I can't see anything else happen with that. So that's really interesting too. The U.S. money, M2 money supply, something we've been talking about all year, has been exploding. We're going to get into that. And there's been Sunday scaries yesterday where Bitcoin ripped up over $2,000, liquidating the longs and then liquidated the shorts. And there's a lot of manipulations happening in this market, guys, a lot of it. And Kevin OLeary actually came out and called all of our coins poo-poo coins. He said the only two coins that matter are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Everything else are poo-poo coins. We're going to get into that. And then Richard Hart is actually building Provex for Base Chain. We'll support Base Chain. So a lot to go over today, a lot to go over. So without further ado, let's get the show started. Let me bring my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling kind of like how I felt, I would say, last Monday. Maybe a little bit different, but pretty much, just waiting on go time, right? That's what we've all been waiting on this year. And my delusional, probably. I mean, this space can make anybody crazy, right? But the one thing that I will say is if you're here to stay, and if you're here to stay because you're probably in our chat all the time and stuff like that, you got to really just push out the noise that's messing with your conviction, in my opinion. At least that's what I'm doing, and remembering why I got here and what makes me stay, and just knowing that there's great builders here, and there's, with time, things will play out, right? And there's some weird things happening, right? We all know that. From the obvious, from the surface level, we see volatility like crazy with Bitcoin, Ethereum, up, down, left, right, whatever you want to say. But then you got some weird, like, kind of meme tokens that were popping off in the beginning of this year, over $100 million, went back down to like 2 million in the past 2 months, all of a sudden back over 100 million quietly. And Mudang popped over 100 million yesterday, I believe, or the day before. And it was pretty low. So what does that tell me? Possibly that some of these whales are saying, hey, look, guys, I know it looks kind of bloody right now everywhere, but we're prepping for something. Possibly. That's, obviously we don't have a factual evidence of that yet until the market really starts to swing to the upside together. But to me, that means there's something with that. And so I'm just paying attention every day, wherever I can.
Yeah, 100%. And like, we were talking pre-show how, this year definitely feels a little bit like 2022 in the sense of just like, you just cannot find opportunities. And when I say this year, I really just mean the last 3 months, going back to probably September. You just can't find opportunities. You just can't find them. And that's really what it felt like in, let's say, June, July, August of 2022. I mean, it was nothing. And we didn't even really know each other back then. And we both kind of felt like the same feeling during those months. And it feels like that. But you got to remember, months later, we saw ordinals come alive. We saw all this stuff happen, really set the next, year on fire. It was very slow to erupt, but, now we're kind of seeing kind of different right now, kind of going back to what you said. You're seeing Farcoin slowly get back up to 400 million, right? This thing was down to like 880 million just not like 2 weeks ago. So you are seeing stuff in the trenches actually building some momentum, but no one's talking about it, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, and the new pairs that people are talking about is constant, like, PvP. The trenches is probably in the most diabolical state I've ever seen it. Everybody's trying to take each other's heads off. You got like a coin running really hard, and then from another launch pad, they launched that same token to PvP it, and it affects both market caps and all this stuff. But like you said, it's the stuff that's subtle, kind of like whenever lasagna cooks, like it moves in silence. I always bring up that Lil Wayne. I love that verse, by the way. Anyways, but it's true though. Some of those big moves, they're like, how is the Pippin token not talked about? Even though I know it happened in November, it was down to $1.8 million, and now it's sitting at like 178 million from November for a month, at like 100x quietly. Then you got Mudang, like I said the other day. So things are happening that like aren't in everybody's faces while they should be. And then the stuff that's in everybody's faces, they're like, everybody's trying to like, it's like a zombie apocalypse. They're trying to get that last can of beans, you know what I mean, from each other, and they're like fighting over it. So, I think you got to look kind of in the subtle areas where it's kind of quiet, but hey, they're moving and it's weird. Does that mean something? Does it mean something? So Fartcoin is one of those that's kind of, people are paying more attention to that because it's more mainstream. It's traded heavily with leverage and stuff. But are they paying attention to it to where you're probably kind of, if you're holding spot Fartcoin, you're probably getting a little bit bullish here because you're having trouble getting out of the 25 to 30 range. Now you're sitting at 40 cents.
Yeah.
There's some, I feel like there's something stewing, but it's hard to see because it's blood and guts everywhere from like the surface level.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. But it really begins and ends with Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin, get to our title here. Bitcoin just snuck in a green weekly close. Could this be the signal for a major breakout? And as Bitcoin got to that, green close, and I'll actually show you what I mean here. because you can get a better looking when you're looking at it. So this is obviously this is our week. We just started, and this is yesterday. So we just got it. I mean, if you want to zoom in here, we just went green, like almost barely.
Yeah.
Right.
Snuck it
And
in.
then, but when that happened, you saw. Look at my board. I mean, Monad 7%, Farcoin 7%, Sui up 1%, ETH Bitcoin 1.8%, right? And even the day where you're seeing Nasdaq, Dow Jones, all in the red, you're seeing a lot, like Fluid, up 4%, Polkadot up 1%, XPL up almost a full percent, and then Tau up 5%. So you are seeing Solana up 2.3. So you are seeing once Bitcoin makes that green candle, you see a lot of the stuff really get green and stay green, which is nice to see.
Yeah, we'll see if it can sustain, right? That's been the hardest thing for our space this entire year is sustainability. And you can even go like back to Bitcoin too, because it's been volatile at different times, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the best performing asset in terms of not percentage gain, but like stability, I guess you could say, right? For the most part, you'll have your one offs here and there, but and so are we going to get some stability? Whether it's going to be maybe I'll take a week at this point, right? In this month, or we're gonna have to wait till 2026 and kind of get into these situations. I do think the FOMC meeting this week is going to be very important because people are sensitive to what Powell says still, and they will be honestly until he's not in control anymore. And so, is he going to be? I think at this point, like if he's an honest person, then he's got to be pretty honest, in my opinion, and that means that like they eventually have to print. Like that's on the like everybody knows that's been keeping up with the space. Like liquidity is dry within the banking system, and that has to happen. How will he put that message out there? Because that's going to be very important.
Yeah, 100%. And last month we seen a guided question that was, asked a certain way. It was asked, hey, are we guaranteed a rate cut for December? Which I think is a terrible question. But people say that these questions are planted by Powell and the team there for Powell to say, no, it's not guaranteed, which he never guarantees anything. Like he never, ever, that's not something he does, which really pisses me off that question was worded that way on purpose, right? Because now we're 100% guaranteed a rate cut, and but that's one thing he always says. Like the Fed has like three tools, right? They can lower rates, they can cut rates, they can or they can just do nothing. But their biggest tool, I guess, is their words, because it depends on what they say, because markets are forward looking, and if they don't give you that forward looking that you're already kind of pricing in, then you go the other way. But it was so messed up how that question was worded, and I think we have to start paying attention to that.
Yeah, there's not much we can do though, right? And the markets react based on these type of things, right? The powers to be, they control the winds and the sails that the direction of the market goes, right? And so, was it intentionally prompted? That question, probably, right? But at the end of the day, we can't do anything about it. What we can do is look at one thing, and I think that's why Benjamin Cohen has been as right as probably anybody this year.
My God.
And it's because he's been focused on macro. I know we hate to talk about macro, but that's what's kept him, hitting that pretty high accuracy rate in terms of his forecasts and his speculations. Yes, he puts a couple of options out there, but if he's getting 1 out of 2 right, almost every single time, that means he's paying attention to the right metrics. And that's macro. You're talking about QT being in tightening this entire year, and since 2021, December 2021, we've just enjoyed like these like volatile jumps up in our market, in our industry, not realizing that, hey, like we're still in tightening this entire time. So what does that mean when we go into actual easing? I think we all can kind of speculate what that means, but until we're there, we're probably not going to feel anything, right? Maybe some, forward-looking type of moves, but we're not seeing those yet, other than some maybe one-offs here and there.
I personally don't think we need quantitative easing. We need to think we're getting quantitative easing, right? I think that, I think that's why, Bitcoin have ran up the entire time of tightening, was because everyone's kind of assuming that we'll eventually get there, and they all want to position themselves, right? But now being in this sideways area where the Fed really isn't doing much when it comes, but every type of buying situation, or the Fed goes in and buys bonds up, that wheel's going to start spinning. That it's coming, it's going to come. It's only a matter of time before it's official. It's happening, but it's not official. And that's what we seen in December of 2021 when the Fed started selling bonds in the market. Like, it wasn't official that they were tightening, but 6 months later we knew it was going to happen. So that type of mindset could really set markets up. Storm MZK says, no, only the FOMC can signal a major breakout, and they actually might here. Getting kind of worried about the job market, but yeah, 100% I agree. Ryan says, "What's up, my dude? Appreciate you. We should have a good week." And he says, "What's up, Yagobi? Hope you guys are well and ready, man. 100%." And he says, "They are reaching for the wrong beans." Laughing my ass off. The wrong beans? The wrong beans.
The zombie apocalypse.
He said, "Absolutely, I agree." Myself says bear markets are for building. Myself thinks we're in a bear market, bro. He thinks we're in there.
Well, I mean, we've said it a little bit here and there,
yeah.
but like it could be short. So
yeah. Bandit says, "Yep, everything follows Bitcoin." Santa Rally loading up. I mean, we're getting close to Christmas, bro. Subscribe, like, and share. Let's all learn together. I appreciate you, Ryan. Absolutely amazing, man. But let's kind of get into this one. President Trump public schedule shows a roundtable in the cabinet room at 2 p.m. Eastern time today. Rumors has it that there's going to be some tariff talk. What do you think about that?
I don't want to think about any of that. You know what I mean? Unless it's like one of the final tariff like talks, and it's more of, hey, look, we're easing. We've come into a good place with most of our trade partners. We are looking to really thrive for multiple countries, us, America first, and also our partners thriving at the same time. Some positive, like, something positive, something like we're about to go into like overdrive, like, everybody's about to have a good finish to the year and amazing 2026. That's what I want to hear, the sentiment. Do we get that? I hope. I don't know, man. I'm not banking on it, but I hope he doesn't try. Like, I don't think he'll put like a damper on the end of the year. I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. I hope he just kind of like lets up. Maybe there is no tariff move. But you've seen when this was announced, it was announced a few hours ago. The S&P was green. The Dow Jones was green. Everything was green. Bitcoin was green as well. Bitcoin was actually 91. And then right after this news came out, you saw the big markets drop. You saw Bitcoin drop to 89. It's just back over 90 now. You saw the Dow Jones, ENS, which is the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all go red on that. So they're all kind of expecting the worst at this point. So
yeah, that could definitely be like a market fake out too, though, because people aren't thinking that it could be a positive thing, and I get why, because there's been so much negative connotation to the word tariff and Trump. Right. So, if it is a positive thing, that could really flip the sentiment in markets too, so we're not really thinking about that side as well. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to Abstractio on the abstract side. What's up? He says, glad to see you again, GM. And for Zora, the pump streams and abstract, just drop your comments and questions in the chat. I will get to those. I am managing those today.
Amazing. Stan says, even though we're not where we want to be in process. Yeah, I mean, you gotta, in the words of the 76ers, respect the process, right? Even though the process was not great either. But moving along, though, we do have, obviously, we talked about it a little bit, but kind of to show you guys what's happening with the calendar this week. Obviously nothing today, nothing scheduled, but then Trump schedule something, which is weird. Tuesday, we get some data reports tomorrow. We get job openings. This is the delayed report from October, so we're expecting 7.2 million job openings. This could scare markets a little bit tomorrow if this number is lower. And then on Wednesday, we do have the FOMC at 2 p.m. and then at 2:30 with the Powell press conference. Thursday, we have the initial jobless claims. It's a weekly thing, and then on Friday, we actually get a couple of Fed chairmen speaking. Basically about Jerome Powell's comments. That's going to happen on Wednesday. So looking forward to that. But good week ahead. So we'll see what happens here. And then moving along, though, we got the SEC Chairman Paul Atkins said he expects the entire U.S. financial market to migrate to blockchain infrastructure in the next 2 years. How do you feel about the SEC chairman, the guy who took Gary Gensler's job, telling everyone that the entire financial system will be on the blockchain?
In the next 2 years, yeah. Next 2 years, perfect timing to wrap up this administration. I think
Yeah.
that's smart by the current administration. I mean, we've talked about it all year. Is that, hey, look, they got earlier this year. We're talking about they got about 3 years to really solidify this new financial system, and so they got to work in overdrive, right? And I do think that that has messed up the flow of kind of how our cycle has worked in the past, but also the ISM cycle could have pushed that out as well. There's multiple factors that just kind of went into like 2025 being just written off in terms of your typical post halving year. But for this, yeah, I think banks and all these other financial companies are trying to get right now. They're trying to position themselves. They're like, it's like blocking out in basketball. I played basketball my whole life, and you got to really get positioned to be in the best opportunity to get the ball, right? And I think these banks and these fund managers and all these traditional finance companies are doing that. You know what I mean? Because they're like, hey, look, we got way more money than Web3 does, like times a lot. And this is their window too to actually stay relevant, and not just stay relevant, but actually be a dominating force in our industry. And so we're not thinking about that aspect because it's not really easy to see. You know what I mean? It's more they do things behind the curtains, but big money moving here and there, big operations changing, and that kind of thing. So that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think you're right. I think a huge upgrade is coming, man. I think that it'd be stupid for them not to. I mean, you have everything in your favor with this administration, and they're pro crypto. I mean, you have to do it now. And, because, if you do it, if you wait too long and you do it if there is a next administration, right, and they're not as bullish on it, then you might get messed up. You might some things you might not get away with some things that you can get away with when it comes to mistakes wise. Make your mistakes now, while you have a friendly SEC and everything, right? So, but moving along here, Michael Saylor Strategy has just bought almost $1 billion worth of Bitcoin, 962 million. This comes after FUD that Saylor will go bankrupt and he will have to sell Bitcoin to cover his loans. Saylor said, "Nope, we are buying, not selling." This isn't a move here. Like if we would have sold maybe 62 million or something like that, no, we saw close to $1 billion in Bitcoin. This is Saylor's normal. He doesn't care. He's not worried. He said, "Nope."
I mean, it looks like a flex, right? To shut up the haters and the fudders, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if Saylor's going to be dropped into that tether bucket. I mean, I feel like he is kind of a little bit, not as much, but there's definitely once every year or 2 years that he gets attacked on his liquidation price or whatever, right? And it just reminds me of the Tether situation. Like, how many times has Tether been attacked, right? So many times. And I'm sure that the old SEC had investigations with them and all types of things, like, quiet investigations or whatever, at least like tapping into what's going on. What does their collateral look like? All these things. That they're still here. They're not only here, they're creating new products, new chains, right? Plasma and stuff like that. So I think Saylor's a bit in that bucket, but he's in a single entity too. That's kind of like Michael Saylor, right? So like he's attacked like from all sides. It's a little bit of the opposite of Tether in that sense, to where Tether's the brand. Do you know the founders? Not as well as everybody knows Michael Saylor's name, even though MicroStrategy is kind of behind Saylor. So this is a flex purchase in my opinion. I like it, and let's see what happens, what comes of this.
No, I agree 100%. And I think that, all Saylor needs is what we need. We just needs a little bit of a bull run, and no one's questioning him ever again. If Bitcoin hits 180, 210, 250, I mean,
they'll question him in the future though.
I mean, you can't though, because
they'll come at
so
him
much. They will. But he obviously has to slow down his buys a little bit, because like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't. I think his mistake was going so heavy with his buys. He didn't need to do them weekly like he was doing. I think, in the future, I kind of want him to do one a month, with these buys. And that way, there's no way possible for him to get to his liquidation price. And what that will do, that will strengthen the price of MicroStrategy as well, because you won't be selling down so much of it. So really excited for that. So moving along though, not just Saylor was buying though, BitMine Immersion Technologies, or with Tom Lee company, as like a lot of people like to call it, disclosed that it now holds 3.8 million ETH after purchasing 138,000 ETH over the past last week. So not only was Saylor buying $1 billion, Tom Lee bought $1 billion too. Incredible. These guys just do not quit. So BitMine also holds 193 Bitcoin worth 1 billion in cash. So they owe Bitcoin as well. I had something I didn't even think about, but they hold Bitcoin on top of the everything they have in Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean that's what they used to focus on was Bitcoin before that, right? And so, but again, this is kind of like first of all, those two entities, Saylor and BitMine or Tom Lee, they have been a little bit kind of quiet the last 2 months, right? In terms of purchasing power and stuff like that. So these two coming out at kind of the same time is another thing. What is this telling us? What are they, trying to say here? Are they trying to prop it up to end the year? Because I know Tom Lee had a lot of forecasts. Not a lot of forecasts, but like the forecast was a lot, right? His forecast of Ethereum. And I just don't see a way to hit those numbers unless like everybody's just going ballistic at some point, right? 2 weeks in crypto can actually do a lot in terms of market caps. It can do a lot, right? And so we have over 2 weeks to finish the year. So a lot can happen. Is it probable? Probably not. I don't like my logical brain is telling me no, but again, anything can happen in 2 to 3 weeks in our space.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin makes its biggest moves in 10 days. So if you go back in time, the biggest moves that Bitcoin really made was when, it went from, let's just say, I think it was like 20,000 to 40,000 in the matter from, that's December 26th to, January 4th, right? So that Bitcoin makes most of its moves in 10 days. And then it sat, between, 40,000 and 60,000 for the rest of, the next 6 months, right? So it's one of those things where you could see Bitcoin rip and continuously rip, which is definitely exciting. But we'll see.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into our next thing here. So every Monday, we are lucky enough to have the great guys over at Merlinchain. Merlinchain is building something truly special. They're mastering the Bitcoin DeFi sector. They are one of the few, maybe any, that offer as much APY as they offer. They're going in to finish up their second Bitcoin staking event. And will there be a third? We're going to find out today. But without further ado, let's bring in the great Jeff. Jeff, welcome back to OnChain Revolution.
Hey guys, just happy to be back after 2 weeks, and the market really didn't change much during the 2 weeks, but yeah, just happy to be back.
Yeah, happy to have you back. And you're right, the market really hasn't changed too much in 2 weeks, right? It's just a volatility with Bitcoin, up, down type of situation. One thing that Shizzy and I noticed though is that some of these weird like coins that are meme coins that were close to 100 million or over 100 million earlier this year, within the last like 2 to 4 weeks, have gone from their lows. We're talking about like 1 million to 5 million to back over 100 million. Pippin is one of those that happened in November, and then we just saw Mudang happen over the weekend. Do you being an experienced trader in our space for your previous to Merlinchain founder life, do you see those as like any type of like secret indicators or like silent indicators of, hey, maybe some of these whales are anticipating anything, or do you think they're almost kind of like just a fake out pump?
Just to be honest, I think most of those activities are probably driven by a few whales and market makers. I think it's pretty normal because when I talk to market makers in real life, for example, the market is pretty bad, right? But they always say it's a bull market, somewhere. So basically, right now people are losing interest into trading. Like for example, if you have like $10,000, you probably would not buy Bitcoin or Ethereum right now. Probably if Bitcoin hits like 95K, people will have intention to trade that. And if you're not trading altcoin, so basically the market needs something to actually get their attention. So that's when all these market makers and whales come in. They pick the right project, they pick the right token, and trying to make some crazy movement, trying to make the market active again, at least for those tokens. So I think that's like the best time to do, because when everything is up, some tokens, they just lost attention from the audience. But now if you're trading Pippin, if you're trading Monden, like some tokens will get people's attention, and that's what those market makers want, because all you need is attention, and you don't need all the money in the world. You don't need like $1 trillion to drive up, to pump those tokens. You're probably in like a few millions, and you can make some big moves. But you cannot do that with like Bitcoin or Ethereum or altcoin. So that's why this happens a lot during that time period.
Do you think this is like a perp thing? Do you think this is like the perp guys that are making this price go up?
Yeah, there are lots of things going on with the perp thing. I think Binance, they also made some announcement lately about that. But yeah, like the market like needs some crazy pump so people can get back into the game, because I don't think everyone is broke. So people have money, right? And they just need somewhere to put the money more efficiently, because right now, if you put that money in Bitcoin, it's like more percent per day.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. You recently put out a tweet, 45% APR, who staked 6 months ago with a price of 10 cents. So people staked at 10 cents. Merlin is now 33 cents. It's actually 35 cents today, which is awesome. But 45% APR on top of that. This is something unheard of, especially in our time. This is actually really exciting as well. But 6 month lockup, these guys made out huge, absolutely huge. I'm going to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's always, everything has two sides, So sometimes you trust, you stake, you wait for a long period of time, and you get, your rewards. And sometimes you believe, and you become diamond hand, and you lose everything. And that's just, how crypto or financial market works. And we're just glad, we actually gave back to our early supporters something in return, just because you're being diamond hand and holding the token. And I saw somebody saying, yeah, if you stake right now, probably in 6 months it will become like 1 cent. Sure, I mean anything is possible, But so that's why I never show about that, staking. You never saw me posting about staking MERL, like all that in the past few months. Just because we want users to choose wisely. And of course, like all these staking token, they got unstaked. We saw lots of a large amount of unstaking happen recently. So of course there is some sell pressure, which is fine, because those people, they earned their right to make some profits. And right now you just need to choose the right side, to like be more diamond hand, to be more supporting, or sell your tokens for profits. We see two different kinds of mindset. We see people do two different things. I don't think either of that is smart or not, or good or bad. And we see people they sell some of their tokens to get their original money back, and also stake the rest of it. So yeah, I'm not trying to tell people to do anything, because if it was me, I really don't know. Even if it's like some project that I'm not a founder of, I don't really know. So sometimes I always sell some tokens to make my profits, to get my cost back. But also, if that project can give me long-term incentives, I would choose to trust them again. But yeah, I'm just happy many users. I think right now for the for the liquid one, which is like 15%, there's still like lots of tokens in that. For the 6 month one, there are also still like lots of tokens in that as well. So yeah, I really appreciate all the support, and God knows how the market reacts in the next 6 months.
Yeah. And I actually feel like that staking was heavily overlooked this year. And the reason why is because I think people were just, desperately looking for quicker opportunities. And, if you go back to 2021 and 2022, people actually staked pretty a decent amount, man. Like, because there was just a lot of different type of dynamics to it. But if you were to do that with Merlinchain, then definitely would have made out. And speaking of, that's the Merlinchain token that Shizzy brought up on your post. But you guys have developed this product with the Bitcoin side of things, which I think is an amazing product. You know, the first 2 staking vaults have done very well in terms of participation. I think the question now is there a plan to have a follow-up staking vault after January 8th? And what does that look like? Or are you guys still in the process of trying to put that together?
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out. We're gathering all the numbers for the Q4 because, you know, if the APR was too low, probably we'll think again. But I don't know the exact details at this moment. We're still gathering, you know, all this, you know, information we need. But yeah, I think, you know, probably after, you know, the last weeks of December is something, you know, we will, you know, disclose to the audience. Yeah.
Yeah, 123 Bitcoin, absolutely insane. I mean, that's huge for this one. I think last one you guys had 76, so that's a huge upgrade from one to another. I feel like the trust is really there for you guys. I think people are really starting to trust that you guys are, you know, the real deal here.
Yeah, I think, you know, during the hard time, it's just you know, trying to bring more products to the users, and also I do think that holding Bitcoin is one of the, you know, smartest choice to do, no matter it's like 80K or 70K or 100K or 120K. I mean, we know some, you know, whales sold the Bitcoin at 120. Some of them are in Singapore, but you know, I also know for sure they bought back, you know, majority of them when the, you know, Bitcoin was like 80-ish. So yeah, I think, you know, I think the whales, they have the strongest belief in Bitcoin. Sometimes they sell high, but, you know, by the end of the day, they will buy back all of them when the price is lower. And I think the retail user should have this kind of mindset too, because if you don't have enough information or experience, you just hold the token, because it's actually not that much difference between 80 and 120. I mean, in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are good traders that actually did that, right? So, because I think you have to be experienced to have that kind of confidence that it's going to go down to that level and you pick back up, right? So, but we know you've been in meetings all day. I do want to read a couple comments. One of our community members is it says, this is Ryan Boylan. He says, Merlin holder here. And he was kind of joking about the getting the original money back. He says, no, he's going to pay off the debt for all Americans with his Merlin profits there. So I guess he's expecting to have a large return. And then the last thing here from Stan, he says, does Jeff have a bullish BTC prediction for 2026? And then we'll let you go after that question.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I think everything right now is saying, you know, 2026 will be good for Bitcoin in general. You know, interest rate is dropping, you know, and the Fed, the SEC, they're going to have some positive news as well. So I think in every sense, Bitcoin should have a pretty good run in 2026. But also, you know, retail don't really, you know, it's not necessary that everyone's making money when Bitcoin is going up. You know, sometimes we see Bitcoin going up and people are still losing money. That's why, you know, you just hold Bitcoin, don't do too much leverage, don't trade too crazily on meme coin and, you know, altcoin. And if you know, stick with that principle, probably you'll be fine.
So what do you think? Higher or lower than 250 for next year? Would you say higher than 250 or lower?
I think 250 is a pretty wild guess. I would say definitely over, you know, all-time high before.
Okay.
Based on my, you know, like the people around me, all these Bitcoin miners and whales, I think people are targeting at 150. So over 150, I think some whales are selling, which doesn't mean 150 will be the, you know, the top, because miners always start selling when it's like in the middle, and they slowly sell when it goes top, because, you know, you cannot make you can't make like money on every decision. You just make as much as you can. So I think, yeah, for 2026, 150 is definitely some goal that we can achieve, but God knows how high that can go.
Yeah, and in a high liquidity environment, anything can happen. And so we'll see if we get that in 2026. But Jeff, again, thank you so much for your time. As always, we will let you go. We know it's super late over there, and we appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right, take it easy.
Thanks, buddy. Absolutely awesome as always. Great to have Jeff on, first time in a couple weeks, but like you said, not much happening right now. But their staking is awesome, and definitely recommend if you guys haven't participated in the staking over there. It's something that I would truly believe in, right? I think that it's gonna be awesome, but obviously, not your keys, not your crypto, so you have to make grown up decisions there. But I mean, it's been flawless so far. So
Yep.
But let's move along though. Let's kind of get into some Bitcoin and crypto price action here. I'm actually curious of how you think the markets are being looked at right now. Let's hop right into it.
Yeah, before we get into that Bitcoin price action, guys, help us out on the YouTube side. Smash that like as always and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're doing that because that helps us out. That shows that you guys are supporting us, and then turn your notifications on as well on X. Let's share the space. That definitely helps spread the show out. So if you could do that, we would greatly appreciate it. And smash that like as well on X. And then shout out to all the community over on Abstract, Pump Streams, Zora. We're getting comments and we're getting likes and all that stuff. So we appreciate all you guys as well in those areas. Don't forget about Rumble, Twitch, Kick, and Spotify. Let's take a look here at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is looking okay today so far. I mean, it's definitely been a crazy volatile, past 2 days, just up, down, right? But at least it's not downtrend, right? That's something like this. We don't want that, right? And it looks like it wants to start an uptrend, but every time we get that jolt, we just get kicked right back down and get our legs chopped, right? So this is the hour chart. It does look like, we're in this weird, it's showing kind of an intense sell pressure session right here. But then, we're bouncing back right now above, we got down to 89. What does this wick look like? 89,600. And to have this hour candle kind of follow up here, it looks like it wants to go to the upside. I don't know. We really need to see if this is we're going to have a continuation of the sell pressure, right? Because as of right now, if I were just to glance at this MACD, I would say, this looks like a pretty strong sell pressure session that we're in. But again, like I'm saying, we're having a rebound here, right? Now that's obviously coming back down from 92.3. So we'll see if we can get out of here. We need to see this start to break down. Obviously, stochastics also needs to start venturing back to oversold territory. Right now, we're sitting at a 4.5 point for the stochastic RSI on the blue line. We need to get closer to that 20 point and then head toward the middle. But as of right now, we are seeing some relief, I guess you could say, from the sell pressure. We'll see if we can continue that and maybe stabilize above 90 and then try to break this down in the meantime. But yeah, so that's what Bitcoin looks like right now on the hour chart. If I'm going off of just the indicators out, I would say maybe we're just taking a little bit of break and maybe we do have a little bit more sell down. That's off of the indicators. But again, whenever something happens to where you're in just down pressure and then you stop the bleeding, put a tourniquet on it a bit and see, sustainability, that could turn things around. So, for me, if I'm looking at the hour chart, I would say, give me another 2 hours and I could probably give you, a more clear direction of where Bitcoin wants to kind of finish the second half of today, or the rest of today, I should say, because there's quite a bit of hours left, right? Okay, so that's the hour there. The 4 hour looks like it wants to close up this buy pressure, right? And remember, the tariff meeting too can absolutely change everything, because I do think a lot of this down pressure is from that announcement, but maybe oversold, and that's why it's bouncing back right now, right? So heading into that meeting, people are probably going to, these market makers, these big time traders, they take advantage of headlines like that, right? And so you got to know that. But as of right now, for the 4 hour, the indicator looks like it wants to, break down and go down further. We'll see if that happens. Yeah, so I think that meeting means a lot later today, right? And we'll see if the 4 hour kind of does play into that, and then we break down if it is a bad meeting. If that's the case, we might have the first half of this week until Wednesday, which is another big meeting with the FOMC. We have multiple things that can change things this week, so just keep your mind on that as well. So 4 hour looks like it wants to break down to the downside. The daily still kicking pretty strong, I would say, right? If we do get down pressure, get down to 86, this will probably start to try to close up. But I don't know, man. I have this feeling, my gut intuition is telling me that people are just reacting to that headline. And now maybe some people feel like it's a little bit oversold here. So I think we can hang on, on the daily chart, at least until Wednesday. And hopefully we don't get bad news then, because if we do, then I think we lose this. If we get bad news on Wednesday and everybody's, doom and gloom from the FOMC meeting, we lose the daily. I truly feel like that. But we can keep this alive if, we can survive until then, and there's some good news coming out of that. So that's the way I look at the daily. Hey, at least we're not in sell pressure that we've been, previously and dominated for so long. And this hasn't been the best buy pressure session, but at least we've had some consistency and a little bit of sustainability here for Bitcoin. But we do need to see some more volatility to the upside, some more aggressive buy pressure and uptrend. Ethereum on the hour Ethereum looks better in my opinion. We're hanging above 3,000. We're at 3120 actually. So I actually like Ethereum on the hour chart right now because the sell pressure doesn't look nearly as intense as Bitcoin. So I like where Ethereum is here on the hour chart. We'll see if we can get through this. Again, one thing to always keep on your mind is, do we go into like a mini alt season? Ethereum kind of goes off and ventures off on its own. We haven't seen enough of that to say, yeah, I think we haven't really seen much aggression of that since like the summer. So it would have to be pretty obvious for that to happen. I'm talking about Ethereum going up, Bitcoin going down type of situation. And I just don't see that yet occurring. The 4 hour on Ethereum looks pretty weak buy pressure, but we're not like closing it out just yet or anything. So I think the 4 hours just kind of waiting on the overall sentiment. And then the daily looks decent here. We could pop back up here. But I do still think it's tethered pretty strongly to Bitcoin, even though it looks like it's not pulling back as hard, still tethered pretty tightly to Bitcoin and wants to figure out what Bitcoin wants to do. So that's Bitcoin, Ethereum for today. The main things to remember, the tariff meeting tonight, and then how we play until Wednesday, because a lot of times these powers to be, if they know that there's a big FOMC meeting in the middle of the week, they'll swing it one way if they think the FOMC meeting is going to go the other way, right? So we might see some down pressure if they believe it's going to be more positive and bullish on Wednesday, right? So something to keep on your mind as well. Let's take a look here at the crypto bubbles. The top, this is 200 here, but let's look at the top 100. The top 100 looks pretty green, so this is a good sign, right? That most of these alts are looking decent. Zcash is bouncing back here. Wow, back above $400. It's up a 25% here, but it's been taking a beat down the past couple weeks, right? You're seeing some of these memes. Pepe up 14% here. Bonk up 5%. Doge up 3.6%. And then you're seeing some other privacy as well. Dash up about 10% here. And then Flocky on the meme side up 12%. So memes are bouncing back decently here. The other stuff that's not as prominent in terms of the upside, you're seeing on the average, most of these blue chips between 2 and 4% of a pull up. So that's good overall that they're kind of grouped together as an overall pull up for the alts. So that's a good sign for sure. We'll see if we can have a continuation with that. And then the top 200 stuff that's sticking out is, this is very interesting. You have been telling me that Richard Hart is definitely doing something here, and I know it's separate from the three because he's doing his own new thing. But I don't know. They're bullish on Hex, PulseX, and Pulse Chain here. All of them at least 25% and up, and with PulseX having the largest jump up here at 60%. That's very interesting there. Some of the memes.
You gotta remember though, they're beaten down over the last
they were,
3 weeks.
people took a lot of money out of them, to go into that new project. But some of these memes in the top 200 too, you got Pippin up 7.2%. We were talking about that on the show earlier. You got Dog Whiff up 7.5%, Brett up 10%. And then you're seeing Monad bounce back here, 6.1%, getting to almost 3 cents, right? So there's a bounce back with that for sure. Stuff that like is pulled back, it's not very many, but you see right here, Maple, you have the syrup token pulling back 6.7%. Cheems as a meme is pulled back 5.2%. Fartcoin up 4.4%, almost to 400 million. So that's a good sign for Fartcoin. Yeah, so everything's looking pretty decent here, guys. Bitcoin is kind of trying to figure out where it wants to land, but everything outside of Bitcoin is looking actually kind of decent right now.
Yeah. And one thing that's really bullish, in my opinion, is the fact that you're seeing the S&P, the Dow Jones, and the NASDAQ all down, Bitcoin in the red as well. But then you see that, right? Do you see a world where potentially Bitcoin could drop, let's just say, or go sideways while altcoins kind of run in the short term?
I
Or is
want
that
to
just
say
not possible?
yes. I want to
Yeah.
say yes, but I think it would be pretty, I want to say unique just because of like the sentiment and just the year. Like, I think the typical situation like that would have been, in November or something, to where it would have felt more clean cut.
Mhm.
But it could happen in December as a kind
Yeah.
of, hey, look, let's have some sort of Santa rally for sure. It could happen that way. But that's us kind of, I think, being a little hopeful in saying, okay, we're going to have a transition of profit taking from Bitcoin into alts, which I just don't know if Bitcoin's at the price for profit taking. I mean, obviously, there's still a lot of people in profit that
Yeah.
got in early 2024 and those time periods. But yeah, I just don't see that being a case. I think they would all have to kind of move, or Bitcoin would have to make a strong move for that to happen. Get to 110 or something like that, and
Yeah.
then trickle down the profits.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think it'll be tough for alts to kind of sustain. Do I think they can just run up? Yeah, they can run up, but the real question is, can they sustain that, right? Not just be a profit opportunity there. Ryan says, "Hey, Pulse Chain and Pulse, a Bitcoin holder." He says, "Hex, where are my bulls at?" Yeah, I am bullish on Richard. I actually like his Provex project. And the Stan asked, has the channel watched the Richard Hart's Provex video? If so, bullish or bearish? So I watched it over the weekend, and he doesn't seem like the same guy. He doesn't seem as confident. He seems almost like a different person almost. Maybe he took
Richard
some
Hart?
humbling. Yeah, dude, that video was, I watched the whole thing. We'll listen to it when I was on the treadmill. But like it didn't sound like the same Richard Hart we've seen in the past. Right? It sounded like a different version of Richard Hart, which is really weird, but a very humbled version of Richard Hart. So I don't know what that means.
Is that a good thing or not such a good thing? Because I feel like he and BitBoy were similar in terms of they you know again got more hype and stuff off of their energy and their like narcissism, if you will. Right.
Well,
But hey, it could be a
Tripoli
good thing
turns
if,
out to be mentally ill. So I mean, the
but
guy is,
yeah, but it could be more of a benefit for Richard Hart to be more strategic in his
yeah.
PR and stuff like that. So we'll see.
You're not seeing him out there with Gucci bags right now. You're seeing him with black tees, you know what I mean? With a basic microphone, a black curtain behind him, right? You're not seeing him like flashy. And that's kind of what I mean by humbled. He's not he's not marketing this or marketing anything right now. He's just kind of, he did like the whole "Where have you been" type of speech, right? So
Yeah, we got Clitty Litter over here. What's up, DJ Clitty Litter? He said, Richard Hart got cloned by some shill trying to extract another 1 billion. Well,
I mean, very possible. He could have sold his account, right? And then it's just be an AI, but who knows? Who knows? But let's get into today's roll call here. Let me find the banner. There it is. All right, roll call. Let's see who's here. And first is first today. Congratulations to the great Hydro Sapien with that first comment of the day with a let's go coffee and the donuts. Appreciate you, my friend. Rita is here. He says GM, hello. He says hello. And then ASAP Benji with GM, 1+ at says green. Tim Baker, the legendary AODR himself. Appreciate you, my friend. Bitcoin is Truth is here. Abstract Pengu is here. Vader Times is bullish for the next 6 weeks. That'll actually take us into the second, third week of January. Very interesting. Satoshi says, what's up? What's up, my guy? Chips and Dips says bull market. I wouldn't call this a bull market, my friend. Ryan is here. Shout out to Ryan, Storm, MZK, the great Web Dro. Let's see who else is here. Mice Elf makes the cut today. Appreciate you, my friend. Stan, like every single day. Let's see who else. And it looks like that. Oh, DJ Clitty Litter makes the roll call, and that is it. And the great Ryan with many, many comments. Appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate every single one of you guys who makes roll call each and every day. But let's head back to the banners. and kind of see what else we have in the news today. I got that. Okay. BlackRock submitted a filing for a staked ETH ETF. BlackRock reportedly transferred 44,000 Ethereum to Coinbase Prime, a move tied to the ETH ETF. So you have to remember, the BlackRock Bitcoin and Ethereum accounts are controlled by Coinbase. So when Coinbase sends amount of tokens from one wallet to another, they're doing something with them. But I think it has something to do with this. And this is another reason why markets are kind of stuttered today, is because they don't know what BlackRock's trying to do here. They're going to sell down these 44 Ethereum that they hold, or are they getting ready for the staking ETF? And they're actually just moving it to Coinbase Prime, because Coinbase Prime actually takes the Ethereum and puts it on chain. That's how they earn that APY, whether it's Aave, whether it's Lido or something else. They take it and strategically maneuver the Ethereum in a certain way to earn more Ethereum. So what do you think? Do you think this BlackRock move here is them selling the Ethereum or getting ready for this file ETF?
I think it's getting ready. I think
Okay.
it's getting ready, but I also think that bears are going to utilize anything in the headlines to create fear, and so that's why I think that a lot of this stuff is in the headlines. And I mean, you see it all the time with MicroStrategy just moving Bitcoin, not selling it, just moving it around, and MicroStrategy gets ready to sell, all this Bitcoin. So I mean, it's tons of just psychological games and stuff going on, right? And that's just our market, right? I mean, it's always been like that, but I feel like it's a lot. It's very intense right now with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I also think that they're just moving that Bitcoin or that Ethereum to get ready. It's get it in the hands of Coinbase. And again, it's Coinbase transferring it to Coinbase, right? Coinbase is the custodian for that BlackRock wallet. So it's not like BlackRock sending to Coinbase. Coinbase is just sending from one wallet to another. But they could be gearing for that Prime wallet to start the staking process for them. So we'll see. Moving along though, the US M2 supply. Remember that? Remember we talked about that all the time?
What is that? I don't know what that is.
But the US M2 supply continue increasing. According to this, Bitcoin should be at 240,000 with the M2 money supply just continuously going up. You're seeing a deviation here, but we have seen deviations in the past, right? But look at this though. Every time Bitcoin has done this, it normally results in a huge 2 months upward momentum. Boom, 2 months upward momentum, and then boom, and potentially as it reaches the back end of here, potentially the end of this month, we could see 2 months of momentum, potentially taking us to Jeff's numbers of 150 to 170.
Yeah, we could see that, or we could see a couple more squigglies, which I hope we don't. But the good news is we know we're at least probably about 75% through if you're comparing the previous two. And it would be the worst time to have an anomaly of it kind of, I don't even know if it'd be considered an anomaly actually, because I haven't seen any of the other ones before this, but with this group right here, to have a crazy long one would be absolutely nuts, right? So yeah, I mean, I think this is a positive data point of saying, hey, look, I mean, we seem to be close to the end of this downtrend, and you see what happens once that happens, right? You have a pretty good stretch of uptrend.
Yeah, and there's some pretty good stuff in here. It says this is the clearest sign that liquidity in the U.S. financial system is turning again. And here's what matters: when M2 accelerates, risk assets rally. When M2 slows, crypto bleeds. Right now, M2 is accelerating. What's driving the liquidity wave? The Fed expected to cut rates. Lower rates reduce borrowing costs and push capital into higher beta assets. So basically, this is saying once we get the rate cut, you might see a lot of people come into the market and take loans out for the new price. So that's the thing that we don't really consider either. As of Thursday, the rates will be different. So we could see actually an acceleration into risk-on assets as they're able to take cheaper loans.
Yeah, and one thing we haven't had, and I know this might be a nothing burger, but I got to say it. One thing we haven't had since we cut rates in September is rate cuts with not being in QT. So what does that mean? Like, what correlation will that have? I don't know. I guess like not taking cash out of the markets and giving people an opportunity to get more liquidity for opportunities for themselves, right? So that combination could actually spark something. And so, we're going into a bit of a first that we haven't had in a long time with this. And so at least something positive to look at, right? So we'll see if that happens.
And I didn't even think about that either. This is the first rate cut not in QT. Like you just rang a bell for me there. I'm like, holy shit. That could be something that changes a lot, but we'll see. But you ready for some manipulation? The next thing here. So Bitcoin,
am I ready?
$2,000. So look at this, right? Look at these charts. So Bitcoin, let me show them actually. So this is the chart from yesterday, right? So Bitcoin dumped from 91 to down to 87K. So this is all on a Sunday with low liquidity, right? And then an hour later, Bitcoin went from that 88K up to 91. So we went from 91 to 88 back to 91 in a matter of hours on a Sunday. How is that not manipulation at that point? Look at this, dude. Down, right back up. I mean, what the hell happened on a Sunday? What do you think from this?
Oh, we've had manipulation in the past on with leverage. Maybe, we've had it with leverage. It was more of those Trump tweets. Remember, like earlier this year, a random tweet with like spiked Bitcoin like $8,000 or something crazy like that. But this manipulation is much more subtle in terms of we don't know where it's coming from, other than powers to be type of situation. And like I'm almost at the point where it's kind of like, do they want to change the reputation a bit of our space not being like such a gambling type of situation, and to where they're like, look, I mean, like liquidations, we're going to liquidate people that are over leveraged because we want to get like more, of a level-headed perception of our space. And then those entities can make money or whoever's going to make money, market makers or whoever is going to be making the money will make the money because they can liquidate these people. And then it changes behavior. The problem is I don't see the behavior changing very much right now.
No.
With the participants, other than the retail behavior, which has been like, hell no, I ain't going over there. You know what I mean? Like they've been kind of like, y'all are something else, And so I think the behavior of retail changing is going to require feeling safer. And does that mean liquidating a ton of over leveraged people until people stop doing this? I don't know, man, but that's what's happening.
And leverage trading has never been more popular either, right? Like I don't remember it ever being this popular as much as it is right now because of hyper liquid, and you can do everything with a a hidden wallet with no KYC. Right? We've never seen that before in the past, right? I mean, you can potentially use something like MEXC, but then you're trusting them with your crypto, so you never actually put a ton on there. But now with hyper liquid, you can go take $100 million long whenever you want with no KYC. So, and that's crazy to me. Myself said, I expect much more psyops and crime now that the governments and large institutions are here. Yeah, that could be it too. But Sunday is just weird, right? I don't feel like these large institutions trade on a Sunday.
I'm curious about that statement real quick by myself. If you're listening, I'd love your opinion on, are you expecting something similar to what we saw in TradFi, right? Like, the likes of like Citadel, that type of thing where it's kind of behind the curtains. People aren't complaining about it too much until there's a GameStop style situation. Or do you feel like it's going to be more like traditional crypto, like kind of crime, except for institutions are doing it? I'm curious of your opinion on that, but go ahead.
Crime season. Nah, Ryan just says, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. You always love the channel. We appreciate you, Ryan, more than you really. We talk about you, man. Gotta make a good show for Ryan today. No. And then Albert says Bitcoin is cool and all, but it's not my identity. Imagine the man you would be without Bitcoin being your wingman. So I'd have to like cover my hat because Bitcoin is definitely my wingman in the sense of financial markets.
Bitcoin is nobody's wingman this cycle because it's not like producing any additional profit trickling down to alts. Because I feel like that's the layup. It should be like previous cycles. 100%. Like Bitcoin goes up, people sell Bitcoin, goes into Ethereum and everything else. Then you make that's a wingman to me. Right now, Bitcoin not good wingman. Bitcoin only good to very rich people that are institutions.
I agree again. Ryan says, you guys are on point with stuff. Just awesome stuff. Appreciate you, my friend. Let's move along here. Something really interesting. Base launched the Base Solana bridge, allowing Solana tokens to be bridged over to the Base network. Yet so far, the bridge has only seen 60 transactions. Does that concern you at all? Does that concern you that Base really spent a lot of time creating this and for it to not to be used?
It's not concerning to me. It should be concerning
Yeah.
to Jesse Pollock and I don't know. Brian Armstrong's probably got a million other things he's focused on, but like it should be concerning to them. Maybe a little bit, right? Like, okay, so let's check back in 2 weeks. If we're looking at like a total transaction volume of even like something like 500 or 1,000, I feel like that's still really low, like really low in two more weeks. Because how long has it been live for?
3 days.
They might be happy actually for 1,000 transactions in 2 weeks. I don't know. The idea was obviously okay. There's so much liquidity. I think there might be some sort of like misconception of how the liquidity is on Solana right now, because I don't see it bridging off to really anywhere. Like you barely saw much of it go to Monad. The last migration of liquidity that was sufficient was BNB, and that was pretty big. We saw the charts and all that stuff, but like 60 transactions, dude, that's horrible. That's horrible. But what are they going to do over there, though? Are they going to buy into virtuals?
I mean, that's the thing is like you want people to bridge over. Like, why would you bridge over, right? You bridge over to add liquidity to Aerodrome so you can trade on Coinbase. But no one cares. No one cares about.
They're not that type of.
I think
that's not the audience.
No, I know, but the big thing is all that liquidity is locked. It's not like Moo Dang can just go into the liquidity pool, take half of it, and move it to Base. It's locked. You can't do that, right? So it's like unless you have control of your own pool, that's not possible. And
well, I think what they want is like just holders to take it over there,
and then add liquidity to that,
and
right?
earn off of the transaction fees. Now where I think it could benefit is okay if you do take Moo Dang and Ethereum and you create a liquidity pool on Aerodrome, and Coinbase is pushing hard for to trade some of these tokens. You could earn some decent LP fees with that, right? Because if they're really pushing the transaction volume, you're one of the earlier ones, you could do well. Now it's obviously not attractive enough to get more than 60 transactions. So
do you think it might be a good idea for Hustle Jake to use this bridge and add liquidity on that side?
I mean, 60 transactions though.
Well, I mean,
if they start to show more transactions, then
well, that's just bridge transactions. That isn't from the pools themselves, right? So it's
I think if the opportunity was there, though, like those transactions would be like so much bigger, right? So if people,
well, I mean, how is the opportunity there? You get to buy on Coinbase.
No, I'm saying like the volume that Coinbase is pushing to these tokens like this, and maybe there just hasn't been enough participants. But to be honest, like Coinbase themselves could do it just to get it going, just to get the volume going and stuff. So I just don't think people see the opportunity right now, and once the opportunity is there, I think you will see it happen. I'm curious of those 60 transactions. I'm curious, like, what's the largest and stuff? Because if there's some whales that have taken it over there, that maybe they are making some money over there.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely taken some bigger positions over there for sure. We can do more research into that for sure. But like I just see being on Coinbase is such an opportunity for a lot of these teams, but they don't have the liquidity. I think that's the problem, right? They have their token, but they don't have the USDC to put it up against, right? And in that sense, but you did mention something about what's some reason to do that, and the main reason could be Coinbase tokens, right? The Base token. We do know that's coming, and once they put a point system out, I see this number 1,000x. I think because everyone's going to want to be over there in the sense of just earning liquidity could earn you more points, which more points could earn you more Base tokens. That could be the incentive they need, but there hasn't been any besides that one time. At one time when Jesse was on stage and said we are considering a Base token, there hasn't been any other words about that Base token.
Yeah, I mean the anticipation for it's pretty big though, so I imagine they're going to do it.
Well, they have to kind of get around
Yeah. So
CC stuff. They have to decentralize the chain, otherwise that chain becomes they need a money market account and all that stuff, right? But if you have a governance token, you no longer need that. So all right, so the next thing here is Kevin OLeary slams altcoins as poo-poo coins and says they are obsolete in what he predicts will be the era of Bitcoin and Ethereum dominance with clear regulations. Kevin OLeary is saying with, basically the quiet part out loud. And this is something that we've both thought about. What if they're purposely trying to destroy our stuff because they want to put out their own stuff, right? So I mean, is Kevin OLeary saying the quiet part out loud here?
yeah, I think he is. I think he is, but it's not necessarily that they want to put their stuff out. I think it's more of perceived value, right? For them, perceived value is there's a whole system of that, right? Earnings reports, this and that. But like if you have meme coins to where people can put $1,000 into them and they can turn that into $300,000 because the coin goes to 3 billion or whatever, right? Then that perceived value is extremely skewed now, right?
Yeah.
So for them, I do feel like they are trying to flex their muscle a bit and saying, hey, look, I mean, if we're coming into the space, we need to have a serious approach to it. And so in that aspect, yeah, I think that's something that he's probably shedding light on. And is that a concern? I mean, it's a concern for people like the people, the everyday people that did hit on some of these coins before, right? That changed their lives. It could be blue collar workers, they could be white collar workers, they could be any type of person that could do some research on the trenches and figure out kind of some of the dynamics of what could push a meme narrative, who's behind it, all these things. And are they trying to suppress that because they're afraid that they're not going to have the power and be able to control what's valuable and what's not, like they do in TradFi?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
That's what
I feel
that's the biggest friction point between both sectors, by the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, they want the control. They're so afraid of letting up, you know what I mean, and then not being in full control of the market. That I think you're right 100%. We got our guy here. We got Cheaty here. He said, "What's up, guys?
Cheaty!
Rocking his blue suit. Appreciate you." I just picture him always rocking that blue suit, like every time he's just out grocery shopping, he's rocking the blue suit. Now I'm just joking. I appreciate you, my friend. Ryan says, "I swapped for Solana coins in my Base wallet. Would that have anything to do with what you're talking about?" I think that's cross-chain swapping. I don't think that has anything. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. And then Ryan says, "I got to run." But he sends us a super sticker.
Yo,
Dude,
appreciate it, sir.
you, man. Always, dude. That's $70 in the last 2 weeks, man. I really appreciate it. He says, "But as always, great stuff here. I thank you both. Always subscribe, like, and share. Let all learn and secure." I appreciate you, Ryan, man. Absolutely amazing, brother. Absolutely amazing. Let's move along here. Richard Hart showed up on Jesse's Twitter account in the comments section, which is very weird for someone like him. He showed up and he just said, "Provex will support Base." Do you know that, right? What do you think that is? Do you think that's
what was the response?
There was barely any response, just people. So there was 24 comments on here. I don't think Jesse was in here at all. No,
okay.
It's just people just talking shit to Richard, basically. But yeah, man. But yeah, so no comment back from Jesse. I don't think Jesse wants Richard Hart on Base, honestly. But he said today's a great day to build Base. Richard Hart came in and says, Provex supports Base, right? That's interesting, though. I don't really know much about Provex, honestly. I did donate to that, I guess you would say, or whatever you want to call it, or sacrifice into that. So we'll see what happens with that. But Provex is supposed to be a privacy layer on top of these chains. So we'll see what happens. But Provex, real quick, is it's officially, we have entered the upward momentum stages where you're getting less than 1%. Or in this period.
Is that the actual chart?
Yeah, well, no, this is the chart. So when you donate it back here, you got the full amount of points.
Okay.
And now every single day you get less and less points. So there's only about 30 days left to do it, and then sacrifice ends on looks like January 9th. So, but now every day you wait, you get less and less coins than you would originally got if you got here. That's why I sacrificed over here. I'm not going to be sacrificing anymore while this goes up here. But this is, but he's kind of expecting the rankings to end here and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with this. But we see over absolutely insane amount, $15.925 million. But it's mainly all coming from one wallet. About a third of that is coming from one wallet here. With $5.3 million in value, but then the second one was 315. Rumors is that this is Richard Hart doing this here, but you are seeing decent amounts from these guys: 315, 300, 273, 260. But yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that project plays out. But one thing I do want to say from when you said you don't think that Jesse wants, Richard Hart or what's it called, PulseX? Provex.
Provex, yeah.
Provex to be on base or whatever. I mean, that's just, I feel like it's hypocritical unless there's evidence of it being like a straight up scam or something like that. Because I mean, dude, there's multiple people from the base leadership that hard shield tickers on Zora and stuff that went to pretty much zero. So I mean, in that case, if it's a hard scam, I get that, but or a scam in general, if you have proof, right? Obviously, we're against scams, but if you're hard shilling tokens that get to zero, then you have no room to talk. And it's not like he didn't intentionally try to make it go to zero. I'm not saying that, but people, put money in that too. So.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. We'll see what happens with it. But the fact that potentially, you got to remember, if they raise, let's just say $20 million. The market cap for this token will be 40 million if they put all the liquidity in there, right? So potentially you might get a Richard Hart token. You might be able to get a Richard Hart token for $10-15 million market cap.
Okay, that's fair. I was gonna say because
yeah.
I don't expect all the all that to go into liquidity. Or
I don't either.
Yes, but I think if he has $40 million potential, in 10-15 could be definitely a target.
But if you look at the market caps for PulseX, PulseChain, and Hex, they're all in the multi-billions.
Are they?
Right? Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Actually, let's take a look at that.
I don't think that's right, because they're all in the second. They're all in the top 200. So if you look at 332 for PulseChain.
Okay.
PulseX is 351, and then Hex is 363. So I mean, healthy. But
I guess I meant the fully diluted, right? Because the fully diluted is 2.8 billion, right? So right now, market fully diluted valuation 2.8 billion for PulseChain. Right?
Yeah, but I feel like everybody goes off of circulating, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, for instance,
potential.
Right? Let's say potential. I mean, even so, let's just say Provex has a $2 billion valuation.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude,
you know what I mean?
Dude, that's still so if they can get the circulating supply market cap to half of one of these, you're looking at $160 million market cap, right?
PulseX, $2.55 billion fully diluted value. And then you have Hex, which is the biggest of them all. I don't even want to show you a Hex. I think Hex is probably, for some reason, they don't have Hex on Coin. Why is that? Is that weird?
CoinGecko?
CoinGecko doesn't have Hex. Let's go to CoinMarketCap real quick.
It's on the crypto bubbles, but it's not telling me the fully diluted market cap here. There's a link for CoinGecko.
2.4 billion for Hex.
Yeah, they're all around the same.
Yeah,
they're all around the same circulating.
Yeah. All right. So now let's just say Provex has a $2.5 billion fully diluted market cap, right? And I put in $500 at, let's just say this valuation's at 10 million. Dude, potentially I could personally do 100x pretty easily. My 500 could turn into, 50,000.
Yeah. I mean, I do believe, there has to be some sort of bullishness in the markets. I mean, I don't know. PulseChain, that was launched during crappy times.
That was 2020. 3.
And the whole process was so funny because
know.
people were saying that he hired a Fiverr dev and forked like Ethereum, and he was like
I
pissed
know.
with like the work that was done or something.
Well, the
Obviously,
problem was they forked Ethereum pre-merge. So they forked Ethereum pre-merge, and then they merged it themselves. So that was the problem. They should have just forked Polygon, right? I mean, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But I found something really interesting on the timeline. I'd love to get your opinion on it. So there's a war for a token called BigHead. It is a rune. So this is a tweet from Louis Liu. We know Louis Liu is the CEO of Omnity. Omnity is a ICP Bitcoin project, right? They're trying to use ICP as a scaling solution for Bitcoin, but they're doing everything mainly on L1. And they have a new product called Satsman. Satsman it looks like it's an etching thing. I'm going to do more research into this and make sure I know what exactly is happening with this, but this seems really interesting right now. You etch it, but apparently there was a token that somebody launched, and then somebody on that same block came in and tried to grab it from them. So we're seeing a lot of tokens, Strategy B, Omnity Network, Liquidated, Big Brain, Fire Pony. We're seeing runes actually etched on this. What happens is apparently there's going to be some type of launch pad with this as well, where you're going to be able to potentially get into this. And if it doesn't fully bond, you get refunded. Like I said, I need to do more research on this, but this is really interesting. If someone's actually building for runes, I got to give them credit because I've been very negative on the builders, but Omnity, I mean, these guys are building something. It looks really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, they are like the infrastructure when it comes to Bitcoin, ICP kind of scaling or interoperability type of situation, right? And so for them to kind of roll this out, I think they're forecasting that there's going to be, a resurgence of meme coins from Bitcoin. And I was talking to you a little bit about this when we were researching about this, that I see a scenario like that happening whenever there's like liquidity in the markets, right? So if we're talking about 2026 and how there's people that are, assuming, right, speculating that liquidity is going to be much more abundant in Q1, in the early parts of Q2 of next year. Let's just say like there's this alt kind of meme season that happens. I do think like Runes does jump back then because they have the backing of Kraken, right? And then they have several infrastructure like builders that have built for it. And maybe they've slowed down a little bit, but maybe they're preparing for that, because all you need is to have a big marketing powerhouse like Kraken push, that message. Bitcoin meme coins, right? Dog starts to go crazy again. You start to see some of those top ones, and now you have this platform that can decentralize in a decentralized way, launch tokens that way, and then you get your fees back too if it doesn't bond. So that's another positive. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. But these guys are really, really smart too. By the way, we've had the pleasure of meeting Lewis and have met obviously Bob Bodley and that whole environment with the Bitcoin ICP. So I expect them to have like an explosive rollout when the market picks back up and stuff. So,
yeah, I agree. And you got to remember, they have a launch pad, right? They're building a launch pad here, but they also have Rich Swap. And Rich Swap is an amazing. I mean, the UI on this DEX is amazing. Where you can trade for tokens. They have their own token, by the way. So if you're bullish on what they're building here, I mean, they hope you get Rich as their utility token, which you're not seeing many Rune utility token. I mean, Luminex is like it, right? I mean, Sats Terminal could be launching a Rune one day as well, but right now you're seeing there's not many runes that are actually utility runes. This is one of them. This is maybe something to get into. It's like $1 million market cap, but you can also buy Odin tokens on L1. So not only can you get the, if Odin is successful and Odin dog goes up, you can get for steady skin. Well, I'm just saying Odin dog, the tokens here are successful, not Odin. Odin's very successful as a project, but I'm saying the tokens on here, let's just say Odin dog goes up over there. Obviously, there's going to be arbitrage. That's one thing I enjoy. I love arbitrage. So for me to go look on Odin and say, hey, Odin dog went up $1 million over here. It's still low in market cap. I can potentially buy it and get, a 10% gain just from depositing it into Odin and selling it there and then rebuying it here, right? And then that opens up arbitrage opportunities. So I do think that this is something, but you can also get the Liquidium token, Dog go to the moon. So I guess the one thing you have to pay attention to is what's in the pools. And you could also add liquidity to these as well. And this is all done in a decentralized way, all the liquidity. But Dog go to the moon. We need more liquidity for Dog over here. I think it's a great opportunity for Dog holders. If you're interested in adding liquidity for Dog and Bitcoin in this pool here, that you guys potentially get into that. They also have other stuff as well. But obviously, you only want to trade in the high liquidity ones, which right now are probably these top 5 with Dog, Liquidium, Odin, and Forseti's game. But dude, I potentially could be buying some Odin Dog here. Sitting at it, what's the market cap? I have to take a look at that, but really interesting.
Yeah. We've talked about Spark. We've talked about, obviously we talk about Merlinchain as well. And I think that this is one of the ecosystems that kind of has been building, has brilliant people over here. And it's like their time is coming, right? To where they can join this kind of, what I think is going to be, a strong, robust Bitcoin ecosystem, but it also, the environment has to be right and stuff. And I think we'll get there, right, in terms of market environment, right?
Yeah.
But the situation that I feel like is going to happen is that there's going to be people that have been, including we were in part of this, we got into the Bitcoin ecosystem heavy in 2023, thinking about how much the assets were going to be valued at in 2025 when the bull market was here, right? And because that's been extended a bit and all those things, it could catch a bunch of people blindside them that all of a sudden now we're in risk on and everybody's scrambling to get these things, runes, ordinals, NFTs in the EVM environment. Like, you get what I'm saying? The risk on stuff. So I think, have at least trying some of these platforms and seeing how they work and stuff is going to be important for when that comes, because I do think that that day is going to come, but it might be 2026. We might get a little taste this year. I'm hoping, cross my fingers, but we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. I'm starting to get bullish on runes here at these prices. I really am. Seeing Dog at 116,000, seeing Mim at 9 million, Pups at 5, Gizmo at 1.1, Lobo at. I'm actually really, really considering getting back involved with runes. I think this is a great opportunity. But the Hope You Get Rich token from Rich Swap, I didn't even realize this, but it's token number 431. So this was an early mint. This is day one. This was a day one mint.
So it was planned for a while, yeah.
It was definitely planned for a while, man. So sitting at 1.68 million, I think this is something to be really interesting at 100%. And you see, Bitcoin Bro Bear sitting at 196K, Wishy Washy 66K, Liquidium 7.9. Liquidium was around 20 million for like a year and a half. So this is huge discounts from some of these runes. Dude, I gotta say it out loud. I'm getting bullish on runes right now. I think the bottom's in.
Man, you are definitely a unique individual, I'll tell you that.
Well, no, I was bearish when Pups was 20 million, and I'm bullish on Pups at 5 million. I think there's a logical explanation for that. I think the bottom is in, and I was right. Yeah. Be bearish.
Well, I will say that if you look at the leaders over there, they've kind of hit these bottom type of market caps, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Dog is their biggest goal is to stay above $100 million market cap, right? Yep. And they've done a pretty damn good job of that, I would say. And then you look at something like Billy, that seems to be the bottom is around $2 million market cap, right? And so all you got to do, like I said, is have a kind of flush with liquidity type of market. And next thing you know, you see Billy at 30. Next thing you know, you see Billy at 80. Next thing you know, you see Billy at 100. And that happened last fall, right?
Yeah.
2024. It got to 155. So we know that the assets in the Bitcoin ecosystem have the ability to go crazy, but we also know that they have the ability to go dormant for a while. But all you got to do is have a liquid environment, and then the powerful marketing kind of channels like the Krakens and stuff like that, and people start talking about the opportunities and stuff, and this could definitely ignite some of these, right? And I think that way with ordinals as well, but I also think that about Ethereum NFTs and stuff like that, and some of the other meme coins and other ecosystems, but that's obviously in a high liquid environment, right? Which we haven't seen in a while. But I'm very curious about Wednesday. I'm very curious about the week after Wednesday. How do people react to the rate cut along with stopping QT? Because what I see possibly in that situation is, borrowing with a better rate, getting the liquidity, because it has to start with step one, right? And again, those liquidities, the liquidity trickle out into just changing the mindset of the psychology of people that play in the markets to be more in risk on.
I agree 100%. All right, let's move along here. Let's get okay. So SatStack. So speaking of the Bitcoin ecosystem, Spark, the layer 2 on top of Lightning here. SatStack is building. Everybody knows SatStack is a product of Xverse, right? Xverse company, or Xverse product. But they have some really cool thing where they whale alert for Sooncoin. Some whale bought $10,000 of Sooncoin. So let's take a look at Luminex here, and let's give this thing a quick refresh. Kind of seeing where these market caps are. I have a password thing. I hate it. I go show this. I don't know where I messed up at. Okay. Oh, I put a. All right, so unlock. All right, so let's take a look at Luminex here. You are seeing Sooncoin sitting at 784,000. ASTI, something I think we're both bullish on because of the website is really awesome. There's another one I'm bullish on right now, which is called Satosh, down to 14K. I got in at 22K. And then stuff like that. So how are you feeling about the Spark ecosystem right now? Because I'm at the point now where I'm thinking about getting out of Spark and getting back into Runes.
So I just think that we're not in that liquid environment I was just talking about, right?
Yeah.
But I do think like there's a silent preparation that's kind of happening across the space. It's not super obvious, like I mentioned before, but I do think that there's like this preparation of a possible more risk on type of situation. But we won't see these market caps like jump up until that's like go time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And of all spaces, like our space, it happens very quickly, when we go into that kind of environment, right? So will you have time? Probably, because there's going to be enough, excitement and stuff like that. Will it happen this month? I don't know. Will it happen next week? I don't know, right? But like it does seem like there's like the silent kind of brewing of something happening. But that could also be partly because I want a Santarelli to happen, right? So I'm just talking about some stuff that I've witnessed, like some of these market caps jumping up crazy amounts and then just stabilizing, and then like you mentioned about Runes, and what I noticed was that like the floors have been kind of hit with most of those, right? They're not going down really much further than that. So it's like, okay, sit tight, opportunity is going to come, be ready type of situation. I feel the same way with them. They're newer, obviously, so the market caps are going to be much, much lower, right? But you're not going to get the thrust up in market caps until the liquidity is more abundant.
Do you think it's a mistake to kind of remove liquidity from here and start adding it to Runes?
I think that. I mean, that's really hard to tell, right? Because I feel like there's multiple kind of, if we do go into that environment, there's multiple environments in liquidity, high liquidity environment. There's multiple ecosystems that have like the opportunities, right? Like with the lower market caps or pullback market caps. If we get into the environment that we know that can really thrive, then multiple ecosystems will do okay. I just don't know like how long that's going to take. That might take a little bit more time, to get to there. Is it a mistake? I don't know. I think it's right now the mistake is just not knowing the spots. Know where they are, where they exist. So Runes, Luminex, if you're bullish that Monad will have a bounce back, what tokens in the Solana ecosystem are you bullish on? Knowing those so you can disperse pretty, in an efficient way. But maybe just holding off until you see like a very convicting green light that says, okay, we're going into this bullish period.
Yeah, let me hit you with this though. So Runes has Leonidas. They have Cryptolution. They have some big names, right? Who didn't just come over here and pump and dump, right? You could say these over here in Spark they have BitGhead. They have Sacco. They have all those other ones and stuff like that. But I just feel like potentially now that I'm kind of looking at some of these runes now and seeing how they bottomed, and then kind of looking over here and just seeing very similar. Over here doesn't have Leonidas. They don't have those big voices, and they did. Kook tweeted about here. They have like a lot of the cancer people, right? Meaning like some of the guys like, well, I hate to say that, but some of them are like just tokens that they get into a month later they dump hard. And you're seeing, you can say the same thing about runes and stuff like that, but we do know runes has Kraken behind, right? So saying that, does that change your mind at all? Does that change your mind to say maybe runes having Leonidas, Kraken, Cryptolution, Bongo, and over here just having like BitGod, Bitman, what's his name, businessman.eth, and these guys? Which one would you prefer? Just looking at the KOLs.
So I actually think that this like Spark could take a similar trajectory that Odin took, in the sense of,
Okay.
those initial tokens on Odin that people were really bullish on. If you looked 3 months later, a lot of them were like sitting at 100K, 300K, and they were at 1 million plus, 2 million, 3 million, depending on which ones, right? And then they kind of found their like audience, their community, right? Their community like established pretty firmly, and most of that was the East. But they are the foundation of that platform. But you had a lot of the early participants in Spark be early participants on Odin, right? You're talking about Farmer Joe, you're talking about Bongo, you're talking about BitGod, you're talking about these other people. And sure, it was the spring Q1 of this year, which not a ton of liquidity still, but more than what we have, right? But it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable over there for those early days, right? So once they found their foundation, and I think that's what Spark's going to go through. I think Spark's going to go through that. I wouldn't be shocked if some of these early tokens, and they were getting support too over there, like the Spark token, right, which was the BeLife team that was kind of the marketing side on that side. That token went to, I think, like $4 million, $5 million market cap. And it was like a part of the marketing arm of Odin, and it didn't sustain. Like, it had huge sell-offs, and eventually it died down to what it is now, which is very small, I think. But what you did have is eventual tokens come out and be really like strong and have longevity of the actual community that stayed. And that's who they are right now. So I think Spark needs to figure out how to get that community, get that user base, because one thing I'll say to you, like we're talking about Spark right now, and we're talking about runes on layer 1, but imagine us being in a full-blown liquid environment for Odin.
Yeah.
Their top market cap was like $400 million right now.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so they haven't seen that either.
That's the one thing you're missing, though, is the fact that Odin didn't have an Odin to compete with, right? Spark has an Odin to compete with. And you're the only users that I can see possibly coming to Spark are the Odin users, the people in the East. I can't see them onboarding new people. And that's the big thing, is like, why would they leave Odin? They like Bob. They know there's an airdrop coming, right? There's an Odin token that's coming, and it's going to, so why leave? There's no reason for them to leave. And they're over there with their people. They're the entire East. So that's one thing Spark doesn't have. Spark is competing with Odin. Odin had no one to compete with.
Yeah, so I think they're gonna have to go after a different group of people, right? Not the Odin people, because I agree that they're very, very loyal and to that platform and to Bob himself, right? But maybe like a different group in the East, because there's multiple groups there. And then also they're gonna have to probably figure out a solid Western group as well, and establish that, because some of the Western groups from the 2023 Bitcoin fungible days, where they held some, it was a joint effort, obviously East and West, that pushed Ordi to $1.5 billion market cap, pushed Sats to $1.3 billion market cap, not Rats though. Rats was all East. And the Rat King back in the day, Dude, I had someone in Singapore come up to me because I was speaking at Inscribing Singapore. I was one of the hosts for one of the panels, and really cool guy. He's just like, man, thank you guys so much for showing me rats. I did so well on that, and I was just like, oh yeah, Shizzy was the Rat King at one point. That was his nickname.
For a little while, but I'm almost at the point though to kind of chalk up Spark altogether as a launchpad, not as a DeFi protocol, not as a thing, but like having meme coins over there. I'm ready to call that dead zone. There might be a runner here and there, as well. But I think with Odin right now, they keep talking about Odin Fund, right? Odin Fund, and I went and looked it up, and there is an Odin Fund, right? So potentially.
Airdrop?
You might be seeing this one right here, right? Was only one holder of it. SHH Odin, right? So I don't know. There's only one holder of it, so we'll see. Why do they keep moving around? It's so annoying. But I do think that potentially there's going to be an airdrop, or the token's not in yet, right? Because it's a 7 characters, and I think 7 characters happen in August. No, February. Because I think we're at 8 characters now. So 7. So they might be just waiting for the 7 characters to come and then be in that first block to kind of grab Odin Fun. But I can see an airdrop happening early next year for the Odin.
How often do the characters get cut down?
6 months. So it's February, August, February, August. We got a long time. By the halving, I think it's the halving, you're going to see 4 characters.
Not even 3 by then.
That's crazy. So that's what Casey wanted, right? Casey has a long-term goal for.
But I do think you're writing off Spark too early. I think we got to.
No,
see
I'm
some
not.
More.
So hold on, though. I just want to fix that. I'm not writing off Spark as a DeFi protocol built on top of Bitcoin Lightning, doing fast transactions. I think that's going to be phenomenal. I think that's going to change the game. But as a meme coin launchpad opportunity place, I don't think I see that as driving going forward.
I think you're writing that off too early too. I think so, but I mean, right now, I think it's easy to write it off because again, there's no liquid environments. The ones that are thriving right now, and then with this dry liquid environment, like the Odin Fund, that's really impressive. But you got Courtney Johnson says, "Hey guys, you must be changing your name back to Ordinal Revolution." Funny guy.
Well, we haven't talked about ordinals though, bro. So I don't know. We talked about runes. We haven't talked about any ordinals. Should we talk about some ordinals? Let's talk about some ordinals. I mean, screw it. Courtney. This is for Courtney. We got ordinals. We're looking at ordinals here. Ordinal.
You changed it to USD. I'm curious of what I think it's like 2,700 or something like that. No, wow. I was thinking of Node Monks, I guess. Puppets are down.
Wow. Dude, you can get an Ordinal Maxi Biz for under $1,000. That's crazy.
Yeah, but what is it? The latest like triple eye color version? I'm just kidding.
It's the black ones. Let's see how much for orange eyes are about 1,600 for an orange eye. The cheapest one.
People have been giving OMB and ZK Shark a lot of slack lately.
Look at why does it say imposter?
I think it's the part of the design.
I gotcha. I actually like that. I think it's dope. Imposter. But this Marilyn Manson looking one, I don't know. I definitely like the OMB art. I don't know. I like the No Monkeys as well. I think No Monkeys are good buy, especially with the that team that keeps buying over there. So what is this? Worldwide Wizards.
Do you remember what our projections were on some of these, man? Because we thought that we were gonna be in like this full blown bull market, I mean, I still think if you were to put them in 2021, they would have been over 6 figures.
Look at the frogs, bro. $295 for a frog.
Chep. You
can grab 10 of these.
What was the all-time high of those? I think they were like
in Bitcoin terms.
No, USD. I'm curious the USD because I remember it was November of 2023.
0.5 November 2023. Bitcoin was like 30,
it was like 18 grand.
It was like $18,000.
Yeah, I remember it was like 18 grand.
So Ugh. All right, let's head into our next thing here, which is news from the trenches. Let's kind of get into it. So there was a big trench weekend. We kind of talked about it a few times today. I don't know if you guys know a show. I know a show because of my kids, like the show called Hey, It's Franklin. It went crazy. $17 million.
That's where it is right now.
$17 million.
Wow, dude, that's a
token.
strong token because what they went through over the weekend is crazy.
Nick Jr., Nickelodeon character here. You go to it or whatever, it's like Franklin with a gun, which is nuts. This was one of the cartoons that were just, it was so slow. Like I would fall asleep when my kids watched it. Like I'd put it on for them like before nap time on like a Saturday or a Sunday, and they would watch it and fall asleep. It was a very, very boring show. But this is not boring at all. I mean, Franklin is shooting a gun at Franklin with a parachute. Like I don't know what's going on here, but this chart is absolutely crazy. What do you know about this? What do you know about Franklin? I know you're involved in the trenches.
Yeah, I know I missed it. But it launched like 6 days ago because there was this I think it was like some senator or something posted about like Franklin something like you can see the U.S. Department of Education posted Franklin knows what the Department of Education does to you, and so there's like this political from the conservative side kind of a push on it, right? And it was slow. It was like if you look at the history of the market cap, the first couple of days, I think the highest it got to maybe was like 1 million or something.
Yeah.
And then pullbacks, and eventually like it just spiked up. I don't know if that's when the senator posted about it or whatever, but it went to around where it is now, right? Like that $15-16 million market cap. And then out of nowhere on Saturday, another Franklin token spawned from the Bonk launchpad. And there was this huge beef between the pump fund community and the Bonk community to where it was just like, I mean, look, I absolutely, one of the biggest things I hate about the trenches is the vamping. I hate it so much because it's such a like indicator of greed. And it's like, there's a token at $2 million. They'll vamp it at 500K. They're just like, I'm like, dude, just pay like $500 if you believe in that, right? You know what I mean? Instead, they're like, I want to get in at like 5,000 so I can just like dump on everybody on this vamped one, right? And there's just this back and forth like toxicity, vamping each other. It's actually very, very sickening. And so Franklin was vamped, and it brought the market cap down from like 13 million on the pump side to the lowest I saw was like $3 million, and the Bonk one jumped to 5 million. Wow. And there was just like trying to rip each other's heads off on crypto Twitter, et cetera, like everybody pointing the finger at Bonk, trying to sabotage the pump token and all this stuff. And it looks like the pump fund community survived, and now they're back to 17 million, and the Bonk one is dead now. So like, what was the point of that? Was the point of that to just some sleazeball that launched it on the Bonk side just to really vamp liquidity from it and make their $50,000 that they probably made, right? And then now all the people that thought, I'm getting in on this Bonk token because this is the real one, this is USD one, and all these narratives that they could have pushed and said that the Trump organization is USD one, and it's political, the Franklin token, and they just got rigged from it, right? It does so much harm to the space because now you're not losing the trust of retail anymore. You're losing the trust of your actual participants now that are addicted to this, and you've lost them so much more money now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. 100%. I do with you. I feel like the same. Yeah, it sucks. What else is happening though? We talked about earlier, Kevin OLeary coming out and saying poo-poo coins. We saw something called poo-poo do about a 10x, 20x almost. What was your view on that? Did you look into that at all?
Yeah, I got into that and I got out. I could have probably made more on it than I did, but
yeah,
it was just, it's like you don't know what to trust, like in the trenches, really, right? So you see something that goes to like 2.3, 2.4 million, and then the narrative to me, I thought was pretty great. Like you have Kevin O'Leary, you know, saying that these type of coins aren't going to succeed, and all the money is going to be just entrapped in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and all the poo-poo coins are going to die. I mean, poo-poo coin's almost dead now. Like, so was he right? I mean, for this one, he was right. Now, it also, this shows how much it matters, like the deploying team and the CTOs behind it and all that stuff. Because I'll tell you, man, it's so, like, the percentages of you getting like a solid team launching a runner is so low because there's so much rampant greed in the trenches. It's just so bad. Not only do they want the fees, which the CTO team was making, or the team was making, like, I think they made like 40-50 grand off fees. They now want like every bit of the liquidity in this token, right? And you just see it because and that's the tricky thing about these tokens that are bundled, right? Because to get it going, you almost have to get like a certain percentage of bundled wallets in here, because there's just not enough participants in the space. So you're going to see a holder count of like 400, or you're going to see a bundled holder count of 2,500, which is not truly 2,500 unique holders, but it looks more attractive to the new entrant, the new participants, right? So that's the problem that the space has. And then you have something that's like Franklin that like people wrote off because it got back down to like the first couple of days when it went to 1 million, it got back down to like 500K or 300K or whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, like you have some cabal types that like say, okay, this is the winner. We're gonna pump this, like, you know what I mean? So not retail is definitely not getting close to the trenches right now, new retail, but the current participants right now that are still here, man, it's a pretty bloodbath when it comes to a large percentage of losers that are participating still, because they feel like, if they just continue to research, and they might hit that Franklin that gets to 17K or 17 million, or they're hoping for some of the early 2025 days or 2024 days of a runner really getting to a crazy number. And that's just not like a logical approach to it if you want to sustain in the trenches, because you'll lose everything.
Yeah, all in one shot too.
Yep. But if you play it right, and you play them as like, day trades, and then you move on, even if one of the plays that you got into 4 days later, like Franklin goes to 10 million. Well, if you do it correctly, that, have your own strategy, however that is, to where you're clipping daily and you only trade tokens by the day and you're done, you can build up your stockpile to where if one of your other ones runs to 17 million, you just got out of it the first day, to where you can enter at like 5 million or something, because you have $5,000 or excess of like your stockpile on the side, and then you kind of enter in that way, right? But that's not how people think. A lot of times they think about, okay, I need to hit this, and like back in the day, you're talking about 2021, or even 2023. If you were really bullish on a single token that was a meme token or whatever, you'd have a week to be able to figure out, levels. Here, you pretty much have a day. And if you hold past a day, there's a high 90% chance that you are
get crushed. Yep, 100%.
That's in the Solana trenches, by the way. Not necessarily these new trenches, like Spark and Mona and stuff like that. They have a little bit of a different, because it's slower, right? So
yeah, 100%. Is it though positive though? We are seeing some runners, because I don't remember seeing a $20 million runner in a while. I don't remember seeing token like Poo Coin come out and go to 10 million right on a Friday night, right?
Well, Poo didn't go to 10 million; went to 2.3, but
2.3 million. Yeah. Sorry.
So the Franklin token, I think that is a bit, is a good sign. Let's see where it ends up going. There's another token called the White Whale too that's been popular in the trenches, and it's, I think, hanging around 5 to 8 million or something like that, right? So there are some signs of life and possibility of some runners, but it's almost kind of like, man, like unless the powers to be, like these big whales, have so much supply control, you getting to 2 million is like a high percentage average top for a success, and that's a successful token for that day.
Yeah.
right? You get into 2 million in one day. That's a highly successful token for that day. But the percentage that's the top is very high too, right? So you got to, the rules have changed, man. The game's changed.
No, I agree. I agree. But that is our show for you guys today. Really appreciate everyone that's tuning in on all of our platforms: YouTube, Twitch, X, Zora, Rumble. You have Abstract, Kick, and everywhere else, man. Absolutely appreciate every single one of you guys, and we'll be on Spotify later. But that's our show. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, guys. We are very appreciative for all you guys just jumping in the comments, watching us, supporting us. Without you guys, we could not do this show, and we always are going to let you guys know that every single day. But also, without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would be very appreciative of that. Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you are looking to jump your Bitcoin NFTs, like counterparty NFTs, rare Pepes, Nakamoto cards, those type of NFTs, or Bitcoin ordinals like frogs or Taproot Wizards over to Ethereum, you got to use Emblem Vault. Why? Because they have the most experience and they are the largest provider in doing this. I think they might be the only provider. But right now, you can actually take a loan out against your Taproot Wizard on the Gandhi application, which is the largest borrowing and lending application for NFTs on Ethereum. And the Emblem team is going to open this up to other layers and ecosystems like Solana. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in all of Solana and HBAR and BSC, right? So they are, it's called agenthustle.ai, and you can actually use it to trade in any of these ecosystems and find low cap gem opportunities or do some conditional trading on your behalf, as there is a trading engine built in Hustle, right? So you can use the free subscription level and test it out with a couple of prompts, because that, you are limited to only a couple of prompts. But if you want the full tool set, you got to upgrade the subscription there, and you get a 30% discount if you use the Hustle token. And the Hustle token is the single token that powers the entire Emblem ecosystem there. And there is one more product in their ecosystem called migrate.fund. They are in the middle of, I believe they started already, right? Cohort 3. Yep, they have started there. So it is a cohort that's really hyper focused on pump fund tokens, as you can see there. But this is
starts on.
Oh, okay. So it's upcoming here, starts in 3 days on the 11th, but you can check it out, right? So if this is something that you're interested in, if you launch the token on one of the launch pads, a pump fund launch pad or Bonk, and you want to migrate to the opposing launch pad, or you want to manage your own LPs, you got to use migrate.fund. They are the best in the business and the single largest third-party provider in migrations, right? But you can reach out to them through migrate.fund or emblem.vision to learn more. And just reach out to their team. Very, very personable team there. And then
I was wrong again. My bad. It does start tomorrow. 1 day, 1 hour. So they actually have it December 9th. I don't know where I got the 11th from. Sorry about that. But yeah, tomorrow.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. So yes, it starts tomorrow, so you can check them out. They've done some big brands in this, man. I expect them to continually grow. They're getting all types of, being reached out by other chains, all types of crazy stuff. So this team is thriving with migrate.fund for sure. But go to migrate.fund, reach out to them, see if they have an open spot in their next cohort. If you're interested in migrating your token and community, your community does have to be on board with that, though. So just know that. And then go to emblem.vision to check out all the products I broke down for you guys. And then Merlinchain is uniting Bitcoin strength through the power of AI. They have their AI Wizard version 2.0 that can guide you through Merlinchain's ecosystem, but it also can swap for tokens outside the ecosystem. It can swap for some Solana tokens or some BSC tokens, BNB tokens, I should say. All you got to do is have some Merlinchain Bitcoin in your Merlinchain wallet, and you can do that. But it can also guide you through Merlinchain's ecosystem in swapping through Merlin Swap or staking. And speaking of staking, Merlinchain uses a proof of stake security model. And there's 3 ways you can participate. The first way is amazing because it's staking Bitcoin and you earn actual Bitcoin, right? And right now they have a vault that closes January 8th. So you got exactly a month from now to participate in that still. But obviously it's, you get a month to earn. The first staking vault ended September 30th. They got 17% APR for their stakers. And this second vault, they're going to shoot for that, obviously, but the minimum will be 8%, maximum 21%. And if you missed this one as well and you want the full 3 months, you can wait till after January 8th, and they'll announce when their next staking vault will be open. But awesome opportunity because you get paid in Bitcoin. They convert everything into Bitcoin for your payment there once you unstake there. And then there's 2 ways to participate with the Merlinchain token. The first one is the flexible day-to-day staking option. You earn 15% APR. You can claim your rewards every single day, roll them up, whatever you want to do. But if you do want to withdraw your Merlinchain tokens, there's a 7-day cooldown period. So just know that. And then, yeah, really awesome opportunity. You earn 15% for a day-to-day staking. And then the last option is the bonded option, which is a 45% APR earning, but it is locked up for 6 months. The cool thing about this, though, is you can actually claim your rewards every single day as well. So you can claim them, roll them up, sell them, keep them in your wallet, whatever you want to do. But that is how you participate in the proof of stake with Merlinchain. Head over to merlinchain.io and follow them on X as well to stay updated with their latest and greatest updates of their ecosystem. Thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always, and because of a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io, some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like help them get started and caught up to where we are today. Article just dropped last week, Fed ends QT, the hidden shakeout that tricked retail. Guys, definitely check out this article. You need to check out. These are 3 to 4 minute reads that will really help you, especially in these market conditions. We got an article about Monad, an article about 30% pullbacks, and so much more. Check out all of our articles out here. Like I said, 3 to 4 minute reads max. You can knock them out very quickly and keep it going. If you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend Nord. I use it each and every single day. You can lock it in right now for $2.99 a month. Lock it in for 2 years. Set it, forget it. You get the extra 3 months for free. You get 27 months for like $70, guys. It's stupid not to. Why would you need a VPN? Well, first off, it's privacy. If you launch a coin and your coin does well, they can figure out where you live. Right, they can track it all the way back to your IP, which could lead them to your house. Right, so it's stupid to do that. And honestly, you shouldn't go to any crypto site with your VPN hanging out. Use a VPN. Put yourself to Italy. Put yourself to El Salvador, wherever you want in the world. There's some servers that are better than others, obviously. Right, so you definitely want to pick the best server. But I like Italy. I've been using Italy for a while. It lets me to use. I watch Italy TikTok and Italy Netflix, which gives you different stuff to kind of look at. It's really cool. Especially for $2.99 a month, right? Can't beat it. Cannot beat it. And on top of that, if you guys want to lock in some crypto into some horror wallets, my favorite is the Ledger. You cannot go wrong with the Ledger, guys. I like the Nano X, is my personal favorite, and right now you can get it 50% off, $74. I think I bought mine for $130 like a couple years ago. So you're getting it cheaper than I ever got it. Definitely check this out, guys, because it is stupid not to. If you're just holding Bitcoin, just holding it, right, and for no reason, not staking out, do anything, you should do it in a Ledger Nano. Same thing with Ethereum. You can hold anything really in there. Definitely want to check that out. You can even hold Merlin if you wanted to. You just got to do it on the BNB chain. But you can pretty much hold any token inside Ethereum, inside BNB, inside Cardano, anything here. And you can hold that all on your Ledger Nano X. Check that out, guys. Remember, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.